Today I'm going to be breaking down Scoreboard by Fredo featuring Tiggs the author, where as usual I'm going to be talking you through the various elements that I'm picking up on as we go through it. In terms of the overall themes of the song, Scoreboard is a track about ambition, resilience and personal growth. The lyrics strike a good balance between the hardships of the artist's past and the rewards of their success, pushing the narrative of determination to rise above one's circumstances and achieve one's dreams. Now, before we do go ahead and actually get into the video, if you're interested in my setup, i.e. headphones, mic and camera, I put links to those in the description below, so if you want to check those out, then you can. Also, if you're on TikTok, you want to give us a follow, you want to show us some love, then by all means, feel free. Let's get it.
They love me for my ambition. She loves me for my ambition. We're coming from the damn kitchen. Ambition.
All I ever wanted was a rollie. I remember when I couldn't afford it. From the mad, now me transition. Screaming, then go love me for my ambition. Check the scoreboard. 1 mil, 2 mil.
Yeah, nice beat cut.
1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil. But who's counting? How the fuck could you doubt me?
I'm from where they don't.
Alright guys, let's cover off what we've had in the intro and in the opening chorus. So the first thing that I hear when we hit the intro are potentially 3 sets of keys. Could be more, could be less. But what we do have in there is one set playing this kind of simple set of chords. We've got another layer in there, like playing that sort of rhythm or that variation within the keys. But also over the top of that, we've got another layer that's got this like reverse type of effect being put onto it. We also get a glimpse of Fredo's vocals. He's just repeating the lines, love me for my ambition, which is actually a glimpse of what we get in Tiggs' chorus. Now, as we shift from the intro and we go into the chorus, the first thing that we hear are these basic or these fundamental percussions. But if you pay attention, those percussions, they've got some sort of effect or some sort of filter on there that kind of makes them sound like they're kind of beginning to be boxed in. Obviously, we get Tiggs' vocals, big, wide, present on the track. We've got some ad-libs in there. We've got harmonies in there. We've got filler vocals in there as well. But as we get towards the back end of the first segment of the chorus, what you notice is that that filter or that effect that's being applied to those basic percussions starts to get removed because they start to expand and they start to get much more present on the track. But what we also get, and this absolutely bangs, are these kind of rolling hi-hats, and that's what takes us out the first segment into the second segment, where we then get this momentary beat cut, the bass comes in, and then boom, the rest of the stuff comes back into the mix. So let's go back, let's listen. Right.
They love me for my ambition.
Chords.
She loves me for my ambition.
There's that other layer.
Damn kitchen. Ambition.
All I ever wanted was a rollie.
Basic percussions in now.
I remember when I couldn't afford it. From the mad, now me transition. Screaming, then go love me for my ambition.
Rolling hi-hats.
Check the scoreboard.
Cut.
1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil.
Everything in now.
1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil. But who's counting? How the fuck could you doubt me?
I'm from where they don't make it, but 100-man track. So I don't ask why they doubting me, I understand why. Still I can't make a whole whack when they don't understand life. They only understand price.
Cuts,
how my
bang,
chain
mate.
costs 100 grand twice. I got paid and the pain started to trouble me less. They say my name again and again, they're fucking obsessed. Had to learn that success comes with nothing but stress. Never had breasts but my chest, that's a double VS. Pull up in that spaceship like I'm Doctor Who, but everyone and their mum knows I got more than doctors do. Women with a boyfriend, in my time I got a few. They think that they got a good girl, what they got is not a clue. I got a lot of food, like I ain't got a lot to lose. Never gave a shit about a lot of views. Ask the guys, real trapper had to turn the O into a box. The streets witnessed me turn from a soldier to a boss. Cause
All right, guys, let's go ahead. Let's cover off some of the shifts and changes that have happened within the verse. Okay, so the first thing that I noticed, right, and this actually happens before we hit the first verse. It's in between shifting from the chorus and hitting that first verse. And what we get are these kind of haunting and reversed effects being put onto Fredo's vocals. And that's doing a couple of things, really. So the first one is sticking with the theme, the feel, the vibe of the track, which is absolute fire, in my opinion, so far, right? Absolutely loving it. But the second thing that it's doing is it's setting you up as the listener to let you know that Fredo's verse is about to drop. Now, when we hit Fredo's verse, the first thing we get, a momentary beat cut. We get a tape stop in there as well. And then shortly after that, everything else comes back into the mix. But also pay attention to the amount of beat cuts that happen within this first verse. Like, there are loads of them, right? And the reason why they do that is they want to keep things shifting, they want to keep things changing, they want to stop it getting repetitive. But if you pay attention to those beat cuts, you notice that each and every single one of them is different, right? Whether that's the sound that's being used, whether it's the length of time that the cut is in there for, or whether it's the sound or how they take you out of the cut and bring you back into the main mix. The final thing to pay attention to here is what happens at the back end of Fredo's verse. What you notice is that the track gets stripped back again. So we're back in that position where we just have those core percussions, but we've also got these long and drawn out keys, which is something that I didn't hear in the mix up to that point. And then the way that they shift this out of the verse into the chorus is they just use this very simple kind of like whoosh transition. It's not a deep bass whoosh, it's more of like a higher pitch whoosh that they use to kind of make that shift. Now listen, this guy's dropped us with a 16, right? So I'm not going to go all the way back to the beginning because it's long, right? But what I will do is I'll go back maybe like 5 or 6, and that will give us enough to kind of listen out for some of those beat cuts, and especially what happens as we hit towards the back end of the verse, right? So let's just go back.
Again and again, they're fucking obsessed. Had to learn that success comes with nothing but stress. Never had breasts but a chest. That's a double VS. Pull up in that spaceship like I'm Doctor Who, but everyone and their mum knows I got more than doctors do. Women with a boyfriend, in my time I got a few. They think that they got a good girl, what they got is not a clue. I got a lot of food, like I ain't got a lot to lose. Never gave a shit about a lot of views. Ask the guys, real trapper had to turn the O into a box. The streets witnessed me turn from a soldier to a boss.
All I ever wanted was a rollie. I remember when I couldn't afford it. From the mad, now me transition. Screamy, then go love me for my ambition. Check the scoreboard. 1 mil, 2
hi-hat roll there.
1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil.
Bass back in.
How the fuck could you doubt me?
Doubting me, that was a major mistake. Now making his kicks the main way I'm making them pick.
Okay, right, just very quickly before we continue on with the verse, one thing to pay attention to that happens in that second chorus that definitely didn't happen in the opening chorus is we start to hear some of the phrases being followed up by Fredo this time, right? Definitely didn't happen in the first chorus. Let me just take it back a few, right, just so you can hear that. But that's definitely something that is different in the second chorus to what we heard in the opening chorus, right? Just listen.
Screamy, then go love me for my ambition.
Right, listen.
Check the scoreboard. 1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil.
There.
1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil. But who's counting?
Again.
How the fuck could you doubt me?
Doubting me, that was a major mistake. Now making his kicks the main way I'm making them pay. It goes 1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil,
bangs,
4.
mate.
Check the score. I done that, but I still need more. Yeah, I was in a pen, not making a penny. Now what's in my pen made me a milli. Yeah, that's what you call a transition.
Right, that's a bar, bro. Listen, I'm sorry, man. Just let me go back, Zach, very quickly.
3 mil, 4. Check the score. I done that, but I still
coming
need
up,
more.
listen to
Yeah,
this.
I was in a pen, not making a penny. Now what's in my pen made me a milli. Yeah, that's
Bangs,
what you
mate.
call a transition. Now I got warehouses and offices, a man's different. But ask the gang, my first offices was Dan's kitchen. So fuck school, that don't make you intelligent. I still ain't come across a time that Shakespeare was relevant. But it's like a science in the lab when I'm making a medicine. 220 for my last set, but I didn't take it with Finnegan. They say come back and rap, cause I'm mad hard, bro. Ain't made songs in a year, it's like my racks can't go. Still buying watches and cars off the pack cargo. The S was white but black inside, I called it Jack Harlow.
Check the scoreboard.
All right, so before we kind of see the rest of the track out, let's just talk about some of the shifts and changes that have happened in the second verse from Fredo. So I'm going to be honest with you, there doesn't seem to be too much that's changed in the second verse from the first verse, but there are two things that I want to talk about. And the first one, not going to lie, is questionable, because I don't know whether it's just me hearing things or whether I'm just like losing my mind, but it just seems to me, right, that the keys that are in there, the keys that we've heard all the way throughout the track that have got that spooky kind of haunting type feel to them, they just seem to be different in the second verse ever so slightly to what they are in the first verse. And I don't mean in terms of the sound that's being used. I just mean in terms of, you know, in the first verse, they just seem to be a little bit more lower. In the second verse, we just seem to be getting these kind of, we seem to be getting more frequent higher ranges in the second verse than what we did in the first. But one thing that is definitely different is the way that the end of the second verse ends. So if you remember, right, when we got towards the back end of the first verse, they stripped it back to basic percussions, and we had these long kind of drawn out keys in. This time they don't do that. What they do is we hit the back end, they remove the bass. We've got the kick drum, that's still in there, although it doesn't remain in there for long until they take that out as well. But if you cast your mind back, right, to, you remember I said in the chorus, in the opening chorus, we had this effect, or we had this filter that was being applied to the percussions that kind of makes them sound boxed in. They take it off and it expands. Well, it seems to me that that is now being applied to those keys that we were talking about, right, rather than the percussions. Let's go back, right, let's just listen to that.
Come across a time that Shakespeare was relevant, but it's like a science in the lab when I'm making a medicine.
Listen to the keys.
For my last set, but I didn't take it with Finnegan. They say come back and rap, cause I'm mad hard, bro.
Right, here's the back end.
In a year, it's like my raps
drums in there.
Still buying watches and cars.
Gone now.
The pack cargo. The S was
Listen to the filter being applied to the keys.
Check the scoreboard. 1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil. 1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil. But who's counting? How the fuck could you doubt me?
Yeah, nice. Take us out. Bangs, mate. Okay, that's it for me. If you want to see more breakdown and analyses videos, there'll be things popping up on the screen right now. Other than that, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I will see you in the next one.